nice words and kind words. And dear Ambassador Weiser, dear Mr. President Schlissel, ladies and gentlemen, first I'd like to say that how extremely happy and at the same time honored I'm feeling today among you in Michigan University, and also for the opportunity provided to me to address this distinguished auditorium about the Albanian as a country, about the Albanian democratic developments and journey of Albania towards the European Union. And seizing this opportunity, I would like to thank the organizers, and especially Ms. Anna Jumalabuza for organizing such meeting, and you all for a warm welcome reserved to me and to my delegation and to my wife Odette. I have talked to many people as a professor in my country, as a politician, and as a citizen as well. But to speak to the students like you is always a special pleasure, because in such auditoriums one can find the youthfulness, purity, and energy that motivate us for the normal daily events. In fact, I have prepared some remarks about the Albanian history and Albanian road and some achievements, but it will be very welcomed that by end of my speech to have your questions, any questions that you like, and to address, and curiosity about my country, my history of my country, and the future of my country. And if now I'd like to talk a little bit, or to speak a little bit about a brief historical overview of Albania. And this is the case of one of the most ancient people of Europe, which has faced different civilizations and cultures throughout its history, such as the Greek, Roman, and Byzantine civilizations from ancient times to medieval times, continuing with falling under the rule of the Ottoman Empire, and then for half of a century under the rule of the communist regime. We Albanians gave to the world Pope Clement XI to the Holy See. Our national hero, George Castrioti Skanderbeg, leading the Arab army, turned back and defeated the attacks of the Ottoman army from 25 years in a row during the 14th century by defeating Europe and our country. At a press conference on his return from the apostolic tour in South Korea, Pope Francis, answering to a question about his upcoming visit to Albania, answered this way, while speaking about the freedom and faith and religion's harmony in my country. The Pope's presence is a way of saying to everyone, we can all work together. I felt I would be a real help to that noble people. A few days ago, during the apostolic journey in Albania, the second one in 2 decades after the apostolic journey conducted by Pope John Paul II in 1993, tens of thousands of enthusiastic Albanians with no religion distinction filled once again the streets and squares to welcome and express their affections to the Holy Father. Religion's tolerance is part of Albanian heritage. In the 19th century, the Albanian intellectual and ideologue Vaso Pasha, one of the most noted ones of his time, stated that Albania's religion is Albanism. This saying served as the inspiring motto of the National Albanian Renaissance, a movement that was crowned by the independence of Albania in 1912 after the fall of the Ottoman Empire and during the conclusion of the Balkan Wars. The coexistence of the main Muslim, Eastern Orthodox, and Roman Catholic faiths and other religions represent an example from which other developed nations can learn also. Mixed marriages, common attendance in religious holidays, and the solidarity demonstrated to one another during hardships are normal in the Albanian society. The world-renowned Albanian writer, a literature Nobel Prize candidate, has called the religion harmony a beautiful building, but a fragile. One as well synthesize this way the sensitivity and caring of the Albanian state and society for this unique and majestic reality. Politics is separated in my country by religion, and public schools are secular ones. The education to respect the religious freedom of the other, the care shown so people can have the right perception about different religions, learning that all the religions preach love and respect. All these are part not only on the activities of the religious institutions, but also of the state institutions and civil society agenda. Faith upon God and religion's tolerance were not uprooted even by the communist regime that ruled Albania after the Second World War, regardless of the violence and terror it exercised. During the Holocaust period, which coincided with the reign of the Albanian kingdom that lasted until 1939, followed by the Italian occupation and in 1943 by the Nazi Germans until the end of the Second World War, the Albanians not only sheltered and saved all the Jews living in our territory, but Albania served also as a transit sheltering ground for all the Jews who were in the fleeing from other countries to escape the Holocaust manhunt. The Albanians did not hand over one Jew within the territory of Albania. Beginning in 1943, the Albanian families sheltered to the very end of the war all the Italian deserters who had been up to the time occupying soldiers but by then were asking to help to be rescued by Nazi persecution. This behavior is based on BESA, the inherited code of the given word of honor, which means to come to the rescue and care for someone in need. The US ambassador to Albania in 1933, Herman Bernstein, wrote in his reports to Washington, D.C., "There is no trace of any discrimination against Jews in Albania, because Albania happens to be one of the rare lands in Europe today where religions, prejudice, and hate do not exist, even though Albanians themselves are divided in three faiths." It seems not to have been a coincidence that Mother Teresa was born by the Albanian nation, the caretaking daughter and mother of all poor people throughout the world, to whom she served according to her advisory words, while doing at any moments small deeds, but with great affection. Let me just to talk about our emerging democracy toward the European Union, in which Albania is a part, in terms of territory, geographically, and identity, and culture. Albania exhausted from the harsh communist dictatorship and a total isolation turned over a new page of history. The page of fundamental domestic, political, and economical transformation, and open to the world under the chants, "We want Albania like the rest of Europe," of the December 1990s. Democratic movement students and intellectuals and citizens who joined them in the concluding battle against the one-party system. The former meant deep reforms for free speech, a free media, for the free market economy, free and fair elections, for universal human rights and freedoms that have denied and violated represented by communism. The latter would be accomplished by redimensioning the bilateral relations and assessing multilateral institutions and initiatives based on respect, reciprocal interest, and basic principles of a democratic state. The country's priority objectives were to access NATO and European Union. Reform and integration progressed alongside the supported one another. Successful reforms are mandatory for integration, but first of all, they are needed to ensure high living standards for our citizens. European integration is not only the driving force, but the advancement throughout this process objectively measures the achievements of the reforms. Due to the doubt isolation from both the West and the East, Albania concluded the historical process of establishing democracy all over the archipelago of the former communist countries in Central and Eastern Europe. When it comes to the fall of the Albanian communist system, I can convincingly state that without the courage, energy, and youthful vision of the December 1990 students, your former colleagues of that time, the great transformation would not have been the one marked by our country and Albanian society as well. Albanian democracy carries the student signature and stamp regardless of the actors who normally join the Albanian transition. Albania faced the need of democratic institutions and European legal framework to support the foundations of the rule of law and free market economy. For this reason, the first contacts with European political institutions such as the Council of Europe, European Union, Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe were established in early 90s. During the last 24 years, Albania has undergone the deepest, widest, and more intensive transformation known by our national history. The country that once brutally violated human rights and freedom joined the Council of Europe in 1995 and took over the chairmanship of the Council of Ministers of this European promoter and advocate of human rights in 2012. Albania, the country that once built bunkers to fight against the West, in 2009 became a NATO member. The formerly fanatic country now has been granted the candidate status to the European Union. Albanian citizens, who once were the most isolated of the continent, now travel on a free visa regime in Europe. Albania is a potential candidate to access the European Union, and not only because of its institutional status. Above all, this is our priority national objective, facing no other alternative. Enjoying political consent and the Albanian support as an expression of our European aspiration. No other people in Southeast Europe has supported with such determination and massively the European integration that the Albanians. That's where the strength to face and overcome the cost rests, the quiet, often high cost of carrying out the necessary reforms and the warranty of their continuation. Candidate status means undertaking of quicker and deeper reforms. The fight against corruption and organized crime, reforming the judicial system based on the principle of inclusiveness, professionalism, and transparency, immune from the political interfaces and groups of interests, establishing a professional and depoliticized administration, represent our priorities in the efforts to consolidate the rule of law, functioning democracy, and free market economy. The Albanian politics and institutions have the consensual willingness to undertake the right initiatives aimed at strengthening the democratic stability, the legal stability, the economic and administrative stability as well, also due to the fact that the investors would feel this way safer. Whoever has visited Albania bears witnesses to the mind-boggling transformation that the country has undergone thanks to investments in infrastructure, energy, mining, manufacturing, tourism, and services. But there is still plenty of space and opportunities for investments. The beauty of the unexplored beaches and the enchanting nature of the Albanian mountains, a secret yet to be discovered for foreign tourists, the huge water solar and wind potential, the potential oil and gas resources, cultural tourism, agriculture, etc., are attractive sectors in a market that offers a friendly climate, a young, qualified, and competitive labor force in a connecting position located between the Western Balkan region and other markets. Albania will join the European family with European standards and concrete contributions. Although a small nation, it can provide a great contribution with its model of religious tolerance and coexistence and of accepting the others who are different. Through its prudent and moderated policy, Albania plays a stabilizing role in the region. The ethnic, cultural, religious, and linguistic diversity has always characterized European societies. The founders of European Union have seen in it a strength and an advantage for our continent. The very rich Albanian culture, whose part are also the cities of Gjirokastra, Berati, Butrinti Park, have been declared treasures of world cultural heritage and under the UNESCO's protection are part of the European culture treasure as well. If we talk a bit about Albania and the Balkan region, which we are settled, I would like to say that Albanian transition from dictatorship to democracy, from the centralized economy to the free market economy, from the state of proletarian dictatorship to the rule of law, from the hermetic closing to total opening, began at the time with the non-consensual and violent disintegration of former Yugoslavia, enacted by the chauvinist policy of Milosevic, with the appearance of old regional hatred and mentalities, and with the clashes of the old and new approaches and interest from outside the region. Under such an unstable and very dangerous situation, characterized by ethnic cleansing due to the struggle for territories, the Republic of Albania followed a careful, balanced, and pragmatist approach, which was based on the good neighborly policy, non-interferences in the domestic affairs, and on the principles of international right. It aimed to preserve the being and to protect the rights and freedoms of the Albanians who live in some of the states just disjointed from the Yugoslav Federation, to prevent the spread of the conflict and safeguard the fragile stability in the areas outside it. I have to point out the fact, which is especially important for a region such as the Balkans, that once used to be a troubling one, that throughout their entire history, Albanians have never attacked their neighbors. On the contrary, they have offered only friendship and good neighboring. During the most recent conflict, they behaved wisely in order not to provoke the situation. The efforts to justify the chauvinist aggression with religious motives were unacceptable for a nation in whose foundation lay the religious tolerance and freedom. The Republic of Albania was one of the very countries that recognized Macedonia after its secession from the trunk of former Yugoslavia. The Albanians of Macedonia joined their efforts together with their Macedonian neighbors to build this new democratic state. The stability and quick Euro-Atlantic integration of our eastern neighbor serve the interest of the regional stability and the promotion of freedom and rights for Albanians in Macedonia. At a difficult time of violence and ethnic based by threats against them, the Albanians of Kosovo shaped the policy of peaceful resistance in order to bring and introduce their cause to the world decision-making challenges and to gain the sympathy of the public opinion worldwide, which resulted fruitful. NATO's military intervention and the activity of Kosovo Liberation Army brought an end to the Serbian military rule in Kosovo. Since 2008, when the independence of Kosovo has proclaimed, which is recognized by 108 countries around the world, the Albanians' majority are cooperating with Serbs and other ethnic minorities to build the democratic state based on the most advanced European standards. Albania started the negotiation with the Serbs for the sake of the future, although the consequences of the war are still alive. The agreement Kosovo-Serbia reached between Prime Ministers Thaçi and Dacic in Brussels, facilitated by Baroness Ashton, has contributed to pacify the region, while its implementation has started to produce results on the ground. The Albanians in Preševa Valley and in Montenegro are fighting with democratic means in institutional ways and are coherently supporting the democratic processes and integration of the countries where they live as the most efficient way to achieve the standards of their rights and freedoms. At the present day, Western Balkans has entered an irreversible path, that would bring them towards the common hope, European Union. Our countries are small, have just come out of the communist system, share the same aims, and as a consequence, ahead of them they face similar challenges. Thanks to cooperation and setting its sight towards the future, the Western Balkans today offers great opportunities of development and is increasingly day by day gaining the trust of our European partners. On August 28, 2014, the heads of states of 6 Western Balkan countries and those of Croatia and Slovenia, European Union member countries, gathered in Berlin under the auspices and with the initiative of German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Berlin Summit came after the meetings of the presidents held under the same format in the framework of Bordeaux Brioni process. It's proof of the strong commitment of the European Union towards the enlargement policy and marks a turning point in the progress of regional prosperity through the implementation of major regional projects and beyond in it: infrastructure, energy, oil and gas supply, tourism, etc., with the financial support of the European Union. The implementation of these projects will progress alongside the progress of the individual reforms, dialogue, and cooperating among the countries. We already enjoy the great opportunity and means to transform the Western Balkans from a region in the geographical sense of into a competing regional market in the geo-economical sense. Conscious about its role and weight in the region, the foreign affairs policy of the Republic of Albania, regardless of the political force that is in power, is oriented in strengthening the good neighborly relations and regional cooperation as well, to the benefit of sustainable peace and security in the region and beyond it. All these preconditions also for the European integration. In June, my country took over the chairmanship of the Southeast European cooperation process, one of the major regional initiatives serving to increase the spirit of understanding and cooperation, and also of the Euro-Atlantic integration of the region, part of which are 13 countries. We are contributing to the advancement of cooperation and getting closer of the countries and of the region to NATO and European Union through the implementation of an ambitious calendar and agenda. As I already stressed it a few weeks ago during a meeting with the youth from Southeast European countries, our strategy in the region is connected more to building the ties among the peoples on a regional, European and beyond it levels. Youth is the human factor serving to shape the future of Albania, of the region, and Europe as well. Education remains the foundation of our success because school is the institution of the base shaping of the youth with tolerance, understanding, and respect for the other. The objective media, together with the massive communication networks, convey the information rapidly and everywhere by shaping this way the public opinion and behavior about various phenomena and issues. Cultural, scientific, and students' exchanges on all the levels serve increasingly more and more to deepen the introduction, recognition, and to exchange experiences. Youth initiatives and networks also help to include and involve youth in the regional, European, and global challenges, and to strengthen people-to-people ties. I would like to focus a little bit now on the United States and Albanian relations. As United States are close and alongside us with their support to the reforms, diplomatic actions, and friendly advices in our quest to achieve our strategic aim, accession into the European family. Albania and the United States are close friends, loyal allies, and strategic partners. Albanian-American relations are deeply and historically enrooted, are strengthened by people-to-people ties, and guaranteed by the close interests and shared values of freedom and democracy. Charles Telford Erickson, a missionary, a diplomat, and distinguished American personality who lived in Albania from 1908 to 1939, stated in 1922 that America is almost as dear as their motherland and upon whom no other country has such a hold on their imagination and affection. The reason behind this affection is very simple. President Wilson entered the United States in the First World War under the slogan, "To make the world safe for democracy." The Declaration of 14 Points, dating in the beginning of the 1912-18, calling for a democratic world free of conflicts, with free market and open agreements, took also under the wings and defended small nations and their right for self-determination. The American president casted his veto in the Paris Peace Conference, his vote in the Paris Peace Conference based upon this doctrine, giving back this way the independence to Albania. The Albanians belonging to the first wave of immigrants to the United States during the beginning of the 20th century were activists rallying on behalf of the Albanian cause in the political and public American environment. They, through Theophan Noli, the distinguished Albanian American writer, scholar, diplomat, politician, historian, and orator, the founder of the Albanian Autocephalous Orthodox Church, convey in 1917 this message from the United States. Take a hold of yourself, mother. Don't be scared, because in America, your sons are. Hundreds of Americans came to our country not only as diplomats, but also as members of charitable associations, as businessmen, school founders, and even as investors conducting expeditions to discover the assets of our subsoil. In 1939, when Albania lost its independence after the occupation by Italy and fleeing of King Zog, which was followed by communists coming into power, for 5 decades in a row, no American or Albanian diplomat even set foot neither to Albania nor to the United States. The communist regime established partnership relations, built friendships, and animosities erected on ideological basis which produced the country's isolation. Based on this criterion, the United States was considered the greatest enemy in the world and an international gendarme. And Verhoja tried to strike a blow to the American cult in the Albanian soul by conducting a systematic brainwashing campaign. Those who flooded the Skanderbeg Square to majestically welcome on June 21st, 1991, the United States State Secretary James Baker III, during his visit to Tirana, represented the expression of the Albanians felt for the United States even after half of a century. Albanians were grateful to the greatest democratic state in the world for its contribution provided to topple the communist system, and were hoping and counting, rightly so, on its help to fulfill their dreams of freedom. The independence of Kosovo would not have been accomplished without the intensive diplomatic action followed by the military intervention of NATO under the leadership of the United States. Albania's accession into NATO marked its greatest achievement after our independence. It was made possible thanks to our achievements, but the American willingness and support were determined as well. We consider the accession into the North Atlantic Alliance as a responsibility to cooperate with our allies, supporting peace and security everywhere, an opportunity to express our gratitude to the West and to display our commitment to Western values. Albania immediately enrolled in the international coalition led by the United States, which concrete political statements and actions right after September 11 attacks. The Albanian authorities placed at the disposal of the United States and European allies its territory, military bases, and all the infrastructural and human resources it possessed. Then Albania deployed military troops in the missions in Afghanistan and Iraq and froze the terrorist assets. Albania is cooperating with the allies, is supporting the armed forces of Iraq in their fights against ISIS. At the present day, a vibrant Albanian diaspora lives here, which, matching the tradition, is very active in the administration, political and diplomatic circles, and public opinion as well when it comes to the Albanian national interests. It serves at the same time as an open channel of communication and connection between our countries. Furthermore, historically, in the beginning of the 20th century, when the fate of yet stateless Albanian nation was at stake, Vatra, the Hearth, the Pan-Albanian Federation of Fanodi and Fajkonica, acted as the official representative of the Albanian interest in the United States. The United States Albanians are loyal citizens who their honest and hard work maintain their families, while with their talent and capacities they fulfill the American dream. They also contribute to the prosperity of the American nation. Personalities such as the artists Jim and John Belushi, Eliza Dushku, the Nobel Prize laureate Ferit Murati, politicians like Mark Jonai, and many other members of the Albanian American community. You, the students of Michigan University and entire America, faces endless opportunities ahead of you, and of course challenges too, because you study in the most powerful and democratic country of the world. Everywhere you would live, in you will carry with you the great values nurtured by the freedom of this country. The Albanian students of this university and of the whole America carry with them the love for Albanian and Albanian virtues as well. They contribute to create the image of Albania and Albanians wherever they go. We also welcome them to Albania with open arms and hearts. There are here youth who have come or originate from different countries of the world. You bring with you the culture and values of the nations of your origin. This is the American miracle. In you, I faithfully see the future of our country, your country here, and the world of the future. Thank you so much.